Hi, this is Pete Bodo for Tennis.com's Quick Hits with a wrap-up of your Week 1 of the Australian Open. Okay, let's be honest about this. Everyone expected the Australian Open to be a corker of a tournament, but who would have guessed that the personalities at the core of the three big stories of Week 1 would have been Jelena Dokic, Carla Suarez Navarro, and Fernando Verdasco. Dokic, when we last checked, was one of the game's outstanding cautionary tales, a teenaged overnight sensation who, thanks partly to her bizarre tennis dad, experienced one of the most dramatic of all career collapses. Well, guess what? Now she's working on a comeback number 15, and it looks like this time she's going to reestablish herself as a presence on the tour. And how about Suarez Navarro, the diminutive Canary Islander who hasn't even rated her own page in the WTA Media Guide, despite having reached the quarterfinals at Roland Garros? What's the deal? You don't get a page if you're under 5'5" and hit with a one-handed backhand? Suarez Navarro, who took out Venus Williams in the second round, is now in a second Grand Slam quarterfinal of her career. Then there's Fernando Verdasco. Out there in fan world, he's a ranking pinup, and his stock in the Bachelor sweepstakes went through the roof after it became public that he'd been dating Ana Ivanovic. But in Melbourne, he's shown that he can play tennis too, taking out the guy who's unquestionably been the hottest player on the ATP Tour since last September, Andy Murray. On the women's side, the co-favorites Jelena Dokic and Serena Williams have played surprisingly desultory tennis in the early rounds. Jankovic's punishment for that was a fourth-round exit at the hands of former Wimbledon finalist and world-renowned Pierce Brosnan fan Marion Bartoli. Serena might be commiserating with Jankovic right now over an old-fashioned Aussie meat pie and a pint of Foster's lager if Victoria Azarenka had not been forced to abandon their match while leading Serena by a set. Turns out Azarenka had experienced stomach troubles earlier in the day, and she was too drained and dehydrated to finish her match with Williams. With Ana Ivanovic also long gone, the first week stars were Dinara Safina and Elena Dementieva. This could hardly be called surprising to anyone who has followed the game closely. Safina's game jumped an entire level starting last May, and she's played well enough for long enough for us to know that she just didn't happen to catch a momentary wave. And Dementieva, a former Grand Slam finalist, has been in the midst of a resurgence ever since she took the women's singles gold at the Beijing Olympic Games last August. The biggest obstacle to a Safina Dementieva finalist Serena Williams, who stands in Dementieva's way. Looking at the men, the first week brought few surprises, as three of the big four, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, and Novak Djokovic, did what the top women could not, play their best tennis when it most counted. But three men in addition to Verdasco deserve to be singled out for the quality of play they've shown down under: Gilles Simon, Andy Roddick, and Jo-Wilfried Tsonga. Simon, like Safina, is in the midst of proving that his quantum leap of 2008 was more than a career hot streak. Roddick, a guy who also knows a thing or two about getting on a Grand Slam roll, is a leaner, tougher competitor now that he's hooked up with Larry Stefanki. Remember, Roddick has reinvented himself before, and that cannon of a serve could cause problems for any man in Melbourne. Tsonga earned his berth in the quarterfinals with a commanding win over James Blake, an extremely dangerous hard-court shotmaker. A finalist here in 2008, Tsonga has every right to slip into Murray's slot as a legitimate member of the elite, which means that the men's game still has a big four. And that means we'll probably be in for some high-quality tennis in the coming days. I'm Peter Bodo for Tennis.com's Quick Hits.